Hey guys, Trevor Stolber here of Stolber Digital. I'm just going to give you here an overview of our competitive assessment process, which we do for clients. But for this one, this is for the SEO competition for digital marketing Las Vegas. Competition started by Craig Campbell recently, and we are participating also with the site dmlv.us. So usually what we do is we have an executive summary that outlines what we found, what we did, and just discusses the process here. So let's get to it. What we do is we look at a whole bunch of metrics, and this is a bit of an eye chart, but really it just looks at some of the pertinent organic ranking factors and pulls out which site's winning, what's significant, what isn't, what the big deltas are, and that helps us understand what the niche is like. We also look at SERP features, and usually we'll make lots of comments here on anything interesting, but we're not really interested in that for this particular competition. And then after that, we also give recommended strategy. So we are not niche specific; we're general, and we put a lot of faith into this competitive assessment process, and that helps define what's working. And further on the video, you'll see why we believe that and how that helps us create the right strategy for multiple different niches. SEO is not a one size fits all; it's a process. So this helps us define that. So we look at keyword gap overlay, and I've hidden the competitive sites here. So what we did, we looked at the SERP. We've got a video and analysis coming on the SERP breakdown. But what we do is we look at the different sites, and we found that in the SERP it was split between educational sites, listing sites, and agency sites. And so we figured we'd drill it down just to the agency sites. So these are the top 5 ranking agency sites. You can see fairly typical keyword overlap, especially here. If we were looking for a long-term SEO campaign, we'd be building content around some of these intersecting categories and keywords. But right now for this competition, we're just focused on the one keyword. Also looking at the competitive position map, generally the goal here is to move a client site up and to the right. We want more organic keywords and more traffic, and there's a clear winner in this space here. Links. So we look at the backlink, and we don't just look at number of links. We look at backlink distribution. Qualified on this referring domain authority metric from SEMrush. It's not an infallible metric; it's derived, but it is an indication. A lot of SEOs put a lot of faith into it. We do too, but all of this analysis still is no gap for good judgment. So we still apply a lot of experience and judgment on all of the analysis we do. And here, so you can see this site B has a lot more links than even site A. However, you'll see later site A is generally the one that's the market leader here with the best opportunities. So number of links, not always the best thing, and this shows why. Something that helps shine the light on that a little bit is when you normalize the backlink profile. So links matter, more links are generally better than less. But if you normalize it, the distribution, and make them the same, what you get is a sort of a view of the quality of a backlink profile. And we can look at all kinds of different metrics on this, but this shows quite a different picture. And so site E actually looks like it has a pretty high quality backlink profile, possibly even maybe site D and site B also. So really you want the skewness of this distribution pushed more to the right, and that is indicative of a higher quality backlink profile. We look at the types of links too. So when we look to see whether there's heavy text or image use. And you can see here that site A actually has a large percentage of its links come in from images, which is interesting because it's different than the rest of the niche. And we also look at follow and no follow. And especially now we have sponsored and UGC parameters in there as well. Site D and site E don't rank very well. That's not necessarily because they have a decent portion of no-follow links. There's nothing really wrong with having no-follow links. It's just something that we weigh into the analysis. And then another chart we do. This is a little busy. Again, all of this data comes from SEMrush. We have processes built around this tool and analysis. So what we look at is the categories of which the backlinks come under. And really what you're looking for is for these to be well aligned to the niche that you're trying to rank in. And so you can see that some of these don't actually. Some of these aren't that well aligned to the niche they're ranking. And again, really, it's no surprise. Site A seems to be the winner here. It has the most well aligned links to the digital marketing niche. Another thing we look at, this is a gut check for quality and to spot any sort of unnatural linking patterns. These are usually .com. These are US agencies located in Las Vegas. So it would be unusual to have a large portion of links coming from IPs and domains and not in the US. And there's nothing unusual here. This all looks pretty normal. Same thing as well with the TLDs, top level domains. So, we would catch anything out of the normal bounds with this kind of analysis. Again, here, nothing looks out of the ordinary. So this is all good. Traffic and ranking. So one thing that's quite interesting, really, it's only the two main competitors that are the market leaders here, Site A and Site B. Names redacted just to protect the source. Really interesting. It shows that they're doing their job well because all of their traffic comes from search. And if this is accurate, which I do question a little bit, almost no traffic from any other source. That's not really very typical. So I do actually question the validity of this data a little bit. We might have processed something wrong here. But in any event, that we can see how the sites stack up against each other and where their traffic comes from. One thing that we do is we look at the traffic trend and keyword growth trend for sites, because a common assumption is that the market leader is the one with the best SEO strategy, and that's not necessarily always true. You often find that the underdog is the one coming up from behind and actually has the winning strategy. So we take that into account when crafting the SEO strategy. So you can see Site A's had fairly continuous keyword growth. Something algorithmic probably happened around this point. And again, it seems like in the recent months, it was probably the September update, they seem to benefit quite well from. Then looking at Site B, interesting here, they had a big bump in traffic for a period, for a couple of months, and then dropped back down again. So maybe they benefited from an algorithm update, and then I think that was when there were a lot of indexing issues, and there was an update that Google made that kind of got reversed. So that looks like that's what happened here. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of the underdog. So Site C here, they've come from nowhere and accelerated pretty well. These are low numbers, but you can see that the strategy they're employing is working for them. So that's definitely something to bear in mind. It's just not all about top level numbers. It's about growth. Similar story in terms of keyword trend, and a lot of them are low position rankings, but there's probably not enough data here. But this site is not ranking anywhere and not getting any traffic. And same story for Site E. This is interesting that this dropped right at the point of the database growth here, because it looks like they dropped traffic altogether there. So that's an interesting thing. So that's the end of our competitive assessment. And we're going to use this data for this SEO competition. And this hopefully just gives you a good overview of how you can look at your competitors, do a competitive assessment, and use that to inform your SEO strategy. So hope you liked it. Please let me know in the comments if you think of anything, if you would do anything different, or if you have any questions. Also, tell us what you think about the SEO competition too. Thanks very much.